Well, today is a very special day in the history of Rhema Broadcasting Group. It was today, 30 years ago, that Radio Rhema received its first permanent licence to broadcast. It was in fact in Christchurch, and the licence allowed Rhema to broadcast from 6 a.m. to 12 midday each day of the week and 18 hours on the weekend. I've been here a long time myself with the Rhema Broadcasting Group. I in fact started in January 1979, but somebody that was there a little bit longer than me, in fact by a couple of months, and was there at the opening of Radio Rhema in Christchurch all those years ago, is the current host of the Southern Star Breakfast Show, Dudley Scantlebury.
Dick Berry was an avid fan of Christian music. He loved Christian music. He loved listening to shortwave Christian stations, in particular HCJB in Quito, Ecuador. And he wondered during those times, why was it we didn't have Christian radio in New Zealand?
God touched my heart in such a way that I'll never forget. It was quite a remarkable event. An event when I was lying on my back, having been told by my medical practitioner that I would be in that position for at least 6 months. I prayed and asked God to heal my back, and miraculously it worked. God indeed did heal my back, and later that day I was out of bed and actually walking. In gratitude to God, I offered my life for full-time service. And in response, God gave me the vision to establish Christian broadcasting right here in New Zealand.
In the early days of Radio Rhema, we broadcast from an old church building, an old Presbyterian church in Mairahau on the northern side of Christchurch. We had turntables, we had old equipment that we'd basically picked up from other radio stations, we had a transmitter that had been rebuilt, taken from a museum and rebuilt by our own technicians. We had all volunteer staff. From those humble beginnings with one radio station in Christchurch, Radio Rhema expanded into Wellington in 1982, and then a new relay station was established in Nelson in 1983. With all my heart and strength, we were different. We weren't like other Christian stations on the shortwave band. We had a mixture of music and spoken word programs, and they were interested because in some cases they'd never heard Christian radio before. So there was a lot of interest all over New Zealand, and there was an excitement, especially that first week of transmission.
Radio Rhema will, in addition to its primary job of communicating the gospel of Christ, broadcast middle-of-the-road music and news. It will steer well clear of the sensational and the unhelpful, and place emphasis on the positive aspects of living. And this is certainly something the world of communication needs. An accent on the positive as opposed to the negative or even the in-between.
Jesus sacrificed his life for me.
And since those early years of the Rhema Broadcasting Group, there's been enormous developments over the last 30 years. In fact, the Rhema Broadcasting Group now has 4 radio networks: New Zealand's Rhema, the Southern Star Network, the Youth Network, Life FM, and a Bible network called The Word. And also there is the print medium of very popular devotional Word for Today, and of course Shine TV. But with all of the changes that have happened over these last 30 years, there's one thing that never changes.
One of the most important things, indeed the most important thing that Radio Rhema needs at this stage, is for the people of New Zealand to pray. Prayer has been the very foundation stone of everything in Rhema. Everything that's been accomplished has been accomplished because of people praying and asking God. He is the only provider we have and the only provider we need.
Prayer is the most important thing for Radio Rhema or the Rhema Broadcasting Group. Without it, we wouldn't exist. It's only through God's hand, his anointing, that we've been able to stay on air as long as we have. And if he took his hand off this ministry, we would collapse.